Hello there, everybody. Peter Greenberg here with our weekly edition of our Global Travel Update. You may remember last week we were live from Los Cabos in Mexico. Well, we've flown it just a little bit further away from there. I'm in Kampala in Uganda. What am I doing here? We're shooting one of my PBS specials called Hidden Uganda. And just a big shout out to begin with to my pal Juma. Earlier today, where were we? We were on the Nile. In fact, the source of the Nile is in Uganda. Behind us, you see, that's Class 6 rapids. We didn't go down those. If we had gone down those, I wouldn't be here tonight. We went down Class 4s, which was pretty crazy in itself. A definite e-ticket ride, all part of the show that we're doing. I'm now back in Kampala and talking to you. So we got lots of stuff to talk about tonight. Again, thanks to Juma and his entire team of getting us down the rapids and the river, and what an experience that was. More on that later. But of course, I know that the globe, the world, the universe is focused on only one story. It's unbelievable how the world has come together to be concerned about travel, and one person's travel in particular. You know who? That's right, Taylor Swift. Look at that. Can she or can she not make it back in time from her concert in Japan to be there in Las Vegas for the kickoff of the Super Bowl? And we've done the calculations. We've got a team working on this. And guess what? She can. And she will. She will actually finish her concert at about 9:30 at night. And she'll probably get to the airport about 11. And she'll get back to Las Vegas in plenty of time for the kickoff. So I know it puts a lot of you at ease. I know you can rest more comfortably now. I had to address it. You know, every year, NORAD tracks Santa Claus. So we track Taylor. And that's it. We're now done with the Taylor Swift story, but we'll see you on Super Bowl Sunday to see if she makes it. Now, more important than that, another thing that nobody ever thought was going to happen, but it did, in Saudi Arabia, guess what? They've just announced they're opening their first, yes, liquor store. All right, that's it. There's a crack in the dam, and it's about to burst, so get ready. First of all, they went to, easy visas to everybody. And millions have gone to Saudi Arabia, a kingdom that was closed to the outside world for more than 79 years. Now it's wide open, with the exception perhaps of gambling and alcohol. Well, guess what? The announcement now means there's only one thing left: casinos. I'll let you know what happens. But further than that, my guess is that liquor store will be only allowed to be used by foreigners with a foreign passport. But of course, there's always been a double standard in that part of the world. I remember when I was in Kuwait, one of the sheikhs said to me, "Would you like to go for a picnic?" And Kuwait was dry. I said, "Sure, I'll go for a picnic." We drove out into the desert. He took out his binoculars and looked out there at the expanse of sand, and saw one little red piece of ribbon on a stick. He said, "Come with me." He got a shovel, and we dug up the Johnny Walker. So, hey, now it's just about to be legal in Saudi Arabia. All right. Last but not least, we've been seeing stories all around. I've been talking about this. It's a serious story, by the way, about seat width, seat pitch, number of seats allowed to be on a plane. The FAA has been derelict in their duty. Back in 2018, Congress ordered the FAA to come up with a standardized set of measurements for what constitutes a safe airline seat. Not in terms of your comfort or your pleasure. No, in terms of the ability to evacuate a plane safely in the dark with half the exits blocked in less than 90 seconds. Did the FAA come up with that number or that definition? They did not. In fact, they not only slow walked it, they ignored it. They were taken to court by public interest groups, and for the life of me, I don't understand this. The FAA prevailed in court. They still haven't done it. That's why they're adding more seats on planes. So not only are they adding more seats on planes, but they're changing the way the seats look and feel. These are the latest seats just announced by Southwest. Take a look. I mean, they look nice, but they're super thin, they're super hard, and they're super lightweight. When it comes to airlines, it's all about weight. And if they can decrease the weight, fuel efficiency goes up, they make more money, and you come back out with orthopedic surgery. So these are the new Southwest seats. Not a lot of people happy with them. But then again, airlines have been putting those kinds of seats on planes for a while. There are seats that don't recline as much as they slide forward. or your knees are already in your neck to begin with. So we'll see what happens in the fallout from these new seats, but there you go, Southwest. They're just the latest airline to do it. Now, let's talk about some stuff in the news before we get to your questions and your comments. Earlier this week, it was hearings on Capitol Hill with the FAA administrator, Mr. Whitaker, and of course, it was time to put him on the spot, to grill him about accountability. Now, to his credit, to the agency's credit, they did get credit for moving so quickly to ground those 737 MAX 9s pending further inspection. But now let's dig deeper. We know what the underlying reasons are. That is, how would the FAA allow airline manufacturers like Boeing, or before them McDonnell Douglas, or Convair, for those of you who remember that far back, or Lockheed, to use FAA designated inspectors to first certify their new planes were airworthy, and second, to be on the assembly line to certify that each plane coming down that line was properly inspected and safe. Those FAA designated inspectors were on the payroll of Boeing. And this is what was being discussed this week. There's an FAA reauthorization bill pending. I think they're going to have to go back and rewrite it to give the agency the resources, the funds, the staff, and the training ability to hire qualified independent inspectors who can be there at Boeing and at every other manufacturer, and most importantly, every other subcontractor. Because as the NTSB is about to issue their report on the probable cause of what happened with that door panel blowing out more than a month ago on the Alaska Airlines plane, one will get you 10. They will find fault, first with the subcontractor, and second of all, with the actual manufacturer that delivered the plane to Alaska Airlines, otherwise known as Boeing. So accountability is not a difficult thing to figure out here. It may be a difficult thing to enforce unless the safety culture at the FAA has changed, and hopefully that message got clear, loud and clear to the FAA administrator. We'll obviously be in touch on that story as everything develops. Now let's go down and say hi to some folks. All right, let's start scrolling here. And it's not scrolling. Hold on a second. Nothing is scrolling. So you know what? I'll let you do it. There we go. Now it's scrolling. Thank you, Anthony. Patrick saying greetings from sunny LA. It's about time. When I left LA the other night, it was like feet of rain. Feet of rain. All right. Michelle says hi from sunny New York. It's sunny, everybody. Robin saying hi from Williamsburg. Camilla's saying cheers from Tucson. And class 4 is plenty of rapids. You bet it is. Hold on and don't let go, or you will go flying from that raft. All right. Sue is saying hello from Bellingham, Washington. Colleen's saying hi from San Francisco. Here we go again. Home of the greatest football team ever. Oh, stop it. Go 49ers. You know what? Let me give you credit where credit's due. I go back to the catch, right? Montana to Clark. Remember that game? Turned everything around. 49ers won it. What a brilliant end of a game. Have the 49ers played great this year? Yes. My producer, Anthony, can't stop talking about them. However, everybody wants to know who I'm rooting for. I'm rooting for the team in red and white. Get it? All right. I'm just looking for a good game. With or without Taylor Swift. All right. Melanie says, hello from still chilly Miami. Look forward to this every week. Well, thank you, Melanie. Lorena Jenkins is saying, hello from Lansing, Michigan, where many of us will be happy to move on to more important global and travel issues than football and who is or who isn't going to be able to make it on time. Oh, come on. You got to admit, you watched it. I don't care if you love football or you hate football. You just wanted to see if she was in the press box with the team. We all did it. Come on. It's a nice little fairy tale. All right. Renu's saying hi from sunny California. Raymond saying hello from San Diego. And Colleen says, you are my hero, Anthony. Anthony, are you related to Colleen? Okay. All right. So now let's get into some other stuff. First of all, the United States State Department last week issued advisories to the Bahamas and the Jamaica. We talked about that. This week they added South Africa. It's not that they added it. Under the new State Department protocols for the last 3 years or 4 years, every country gets a State Department advisory based on different levels. So the fact that there is a State Department advisory for South Africa is not really a surprise, right? I mean, if you use the same metrics that the State Department used for foreign countries for U.S. states, Cleveland would be a level 4. So let's stop it right now, right? Chicago, you wouldn't be able to travel to. So You have to put these things in perspective. Again, when you hear these stories about, and by the way, the media is at fault on this one, because the media always says State Department warns passengers. No, it's an advisory. It's not a warning and it's not a ban. But what I want you to do is, I want you to read those advisories. Read them in full. Number two, then go to the British Foreign Office and read what they're telling their citizens about where and where not to travel. And then go to the English language newspapers. We got some police activity here in Kampala. Hey, we're on the streets. Go to the English language newspapers that are printed in those countries. Go back 2 weeks, read every issue, and based on all those three sources of information, you will be able to make an informed and intelligent decision as to where you're going to go, and then within that country, where you're not going to go, if anywhere. And you'll be much better off. And I'll be answering some more questions about that later. All right, that's the State Department advisory issue. Now, we have other issues to deal with as well, and I want to go back to one of them about Boeing. Something else happened this week. It's not enough that Boeing may have lost my confidence. It may not be enough that they've lost the FAA's confidence or even Congress's confidence. They've actually started losing the airline's confidence. One airline in the Gulf, in Dubai, Emirates, announced this week they were sending their own inspectors to inspect the planes that Boeing were building. Now, Emirates doesn't fly 737 MAX 9s. Emirates flies 777s. What is that telling you? It's telling you that by the time this investigation is over, they're going to be looking at the assembly line, not just of the 737 MAX, but of the 777 and the 787. Because if you've got a safety of culture issue here, it's not just to be confined to one assembly line. It's a company-wide problem. So get ready for that. And it's going to be a little bit more expensive to fly based on the fact that Boeing's not going to be able to make their delivery schedule to their clients. And a lot of airlines are going to have to rejiggle their schedules and do some triage there, which means you may not get the flight you want and you may not get the fare you want. So there you have it. Okay, there's that one. Then, are you looking for the most popular destinations for American expats? Right? I spent some time this week here in Kampala with American expats. You'd be surprised how many Americans are now living overseas full time. Now, they haven't renounced their U.S. citizenship. Some have. But they just made a choice about lifestyle, infrastructure, standard of living, cost of living, health care, and they've moved, right? What are the places? Well, you know about Portugal, Spain, Iceland, yes, Iceland, Finland, Norway, not an inexpensive place, but people are going there. Salaries there are much higher, by the way, so it's all relative. And even parts of Africa now, in Rwanda, in Uganda, in South Africa, yeah, even with the State Department advisory, American expats are moving there simply because they're following the power of the U.S. dollar. Let's not forget Turkey. Let's not forget Argentina, where the U.S. dollar is supreme. Supreme. And on our website, petergreenberg.com, we're going to list the most favorite countries for expats and the reasons why. Because the metrics are going way beyond just cost of living. But there's some interesting things to look at there. Oh, by the way, where do more Americans have vacation homes than any other place in the world? Our next door neighbor, Mexico. That's right, second homes. And that's another bargain for most Americans. So something to think about there. Now, new domestic routes coming up. You know, we talked about this last week. International airfares are going to go up about 10% in 2024. I don't know if that's going to hold up now, with the exception maybe of Paris, which has gotten out of control because of the Olympics. But U.S. domestic fares are going to go down. They're starting to go down already, anywhere between 12 and 19% on some routes at the very moment that airlines are announcing new routes. So, for example, United Airlines is offering flights now to Anchorage, I believe. You have American Airlines going between Miami and John Wayne Airport in California. And Alaska Airlines is going between Atlanta and San Diego. Oh, yeah, one more word about Alaska Airlines. For those of you who are obsessed with Super Bowl commercials, and of course, who isn't, this weekend on Sunday, Alaska Airlines has bought time on the Super Bowl. I wonder what their commercial is going to be. No, it won't be a parody of Alaska like they did on Saturday Night Live. My guess is that commercial will be about reassurance. Now we're back. United Airlines is doing a commercial on Sunday as well. What's their commercial about? It's kind of a cute commercial. It's saying, all right, we know the Super Bowl is being played in Las Vegas this year. Well, the Super Bowl is being played in New Orleans next year. And of course, nobody knows who's going to go. So how do you book ahead? What happens if you're a Giants fan and you're booking for the Super Bowl? Well, that means you're delusional. Or a Jets fan, forget it. But for all the other teams, you want your team to go to the Super Bowl and they may even have a chance. So what United Airlines commercial is going to say is, which I think is kind of cute, go ahead and book it now. And if your team makes it, you're going. And if your team doesn't make it, you can change your ticket and not lose any ticket change fees in the process. Remember, United Airlines is the first airline that got rid of those draconian change fees about 2 or 3 years ago, right in the middle of the pandemic. So 3 cheers to them. So I'll be looking for those 2 commercials this weekend. Let's go to some of your questions. I'll do that right now. Here's one from Lori who says, is Egypt dangerous to visit right now? Not for me. You know what? Read the advisories. Do everything I told you. British Foreign Office, look at the English language paper in Cairo, and you'll find out that the Nile, remember, the Nile starts here in Uganda. It goes through Cairo as well, all the way down to the Mediterranean. So, you know what? It's fine. Just practice basic common sense. Riley says, can you fly domestically in the U.S. with a non-driver state ID? And the answer is yes, you can. As long as you're traveling with a bona fide government-issued photo ID, that's acceptable by TSA. Okay? Okay, Mark says, I love this one. How likely is it to see a kill on an African safari? Well, it's weather-related, right? During the rainy season, the animals don't necessarily come down that close, but when it's drier, they go looking for food. And if they go looking for food, they're going to kill it. And that's when you want to do it. That's when you want to go, if that's what you want to see. Okay. Tom says, Jill says, I'll be traveling to Paris for the Olympics this summer. Good luck. Every day prices are getting higher, as I told you, by the way. I'm wondering if it would be better to fly to a different country and then travel by train to Paris instead of flying in directly. If so, what would be my best option? Well, I've talked about this now, Jill, for the last 3 weeks on this update. Your answer is yes. You fly to London and take the Eurostar. And by the way, if you wanted to, and really want to expand, you can take the Eurostar from London to Amsterdam and to Belgium, and then go back to Paris. Enjoy yourself. But hotel rooms in Paris are out of control. Prices in Paris, even for the Louvre or for a ride on the metro, out of control, right? Well, Airbnb apartments used to go $300 a night, are now over $2,000 a night, right? And then, of course, there's the airfare just if you want to go to Paris. It's not going to be pretty, all right? So plan accordingly, but I'm a big fan of taking the train. Now, one caveat there, the train seats are filling up even now. So if you're going to make that decision, do it soon. Hey, Tom says, I'm going to Scotland after 25 years. What has changed? Gee, Tom, I don't have time to read the book to you. Everything has changed, and the beautiful thing about Scotland is nothing has changed. The history is there, the culture is there, the land is beautiful as ever. You're not seeing outrageous development, right? And you know what? Go. I mean, go to Glasgow, go to Edinburgh, go outside, go to some of my favorite places like Loch Fyne, and Loch Fyne is amazing. Or where else do I like to go? What is it? Single Malt Whiskey Place. I love it. I'll think about it in a second. But it's where you'll find Beaumont, you'll find Lagavulin, you'll find Lefroy. Even if you don't drink, you need to go there. Okay? I'll get that name. I'm having a senior moment on that one. But anyway, a lot has changed and nothing has changed, and that's the beauty of Scotland. Simple as that. And as general as a question, you got my answer. Okay. Janet says, I love this one. We could talk a lot about this one. She says, why is priority boarding considered a luxury? Shouldn't you want to minimize the time spent in the cabin? Well, you ask a logical question, but we're beyond logic when it comes to boarding airplanes. The reason why everybody wants to board first is because physically, there's literally not enough overhead compartment space if everybody had even one carry-on bag. It's as ridiculous as that. Remember what I said earlier in this update about airlines adding more and more seats? So it's physically impossible with everybody coming on with one carry-on bag and one personal item to be able to fit in the overhead compartment. So the reason why everybody wants to be in boarding one is not so they can have more time talking with the flight attendants. No, it's because they want to get that bin space before anybody else gets it. It's as simple as that. I wish there was a better answer, but the airlines have done this to themselves, and they've now done it to us. So if you're in boarding group 9, I mean, your bag's getting gate checked. Simple as that. All right. Al says, do international airlines care about duffel bag sizes if they're technically smaller by volume? Airlines don't care about volume. They care about measurements, and they care about weight, right? So if I brought on a 9-foot duffel that weighed 40 pounds, they wouldn't let it on the plane, right? Because it's about volume, right? It's too big. It has to go into oversized baggage, and sometimes even the conveyor belts there can't handle it. It's as simple as that. And well, there's one more reason too. It's called revenue. The airlines want to get revenue for every bag check they can possibly get. Okay. Kate says, is it normal to wait for global entry for over 3 months? I applied in October 23 and have not heard back. And the answer, Kate, is sorry, but yes. Used to be worse. I mean, we have some good news. I have some friends of mine who actually got their global entry interview scheduled within 8 weeks, and they did it. But to wait 3 months or 4 months is not unusual. There's some good news for the moment. It's going to change about either applying for or renewing your passport. You remember what happened in the summer of 21, 22, and even last summer? People were waiting for up to 4 months to get their passport either renewed or a new and approved. And there goes your summer, right? So we're now in February. If you haven't had your passport renewed and you need to do it, or you don't have a passport, shame on you, and you need to get one, start today. Do not wait. Now, there are expedited services you can use. You can even ask for an expedited delivery from the U.S. State Department. That'll cost you more. And the expedited services will cost you a lot more, depending on how fast you need it. There's some that can get it for you in less than 24 hours, but we're talking 3 digits and then some to do the processing. Either way, though, for the moment, the wait time is no longer 4 months for a new or renewed passport. The wait time is now around 10 to 11 weeks. So you're almost at 3 months. The longer you wait, the longer we get closer to summer, that wait time is going to expand to the point where you won't have a summer. So you heard it here first. Get out there and apply for it if you don't have one, or renew it if you need to today. Okay? Okay. Here's one. This is an interesting one. Here's from Emma. I'm leaving March 1 for a brief stay in Argentina. With their new president, we are having trouble getting advice on what to do about exchanging money. Well, Emma, I didn't know that presidents gave that advice. We are bringing freshly ironed U.S. bills. Sound like a cocaine dealer. Wait a minute. We're bringing freshly ironed U.S. bills, but where is it safe to exchange? Well, I think what Emma's talking about, in all seriousness, is there still is a huge black market in places like Argentina, Turkey, and South Africa, because the currency keeps getting devalued, so that the fluctuations are wild. Even a 0.5% fluctuation in the exchange rate means people can make a lot of money if they arbitrage it. So if you're going to do it on the street, do it at your own peril. Look, the exchange rate between the Argentinian peso and the US dollar is so favorable to us right now anyway, just do it at the bank. You're still way ahead of the game. Seriously, you'll be fine, okay? And then do something that I do. And by the way, you can do it. You just have to call ahead to your bank to see if they have any. I never travel without at least 100 $2 bills with me. They're legal tender, right? Sometimes banks don't have them. Call ahead, they'll get them. And that's what I used to tip people with. It's a conversation starter. They remember you. They're excited to see it. And you've tipped them. It's a win-win all the way around. Don't travel without $2 bills. And don't worry about exchanging money in the black market. You don't need to when the exchange rate is this beneficial to you as a U.S. citizen using U.S. dollars. And that applies to, as I said before, South Africa. It applies to Turkey. It applies to Argentina. Okay? Let me scroll down here and say a few more people here. Okay. Raymond saying hello from San Diego. Okay. See how we have here. Okay, Mary Jo says, hello from Pennsylvania. You often discuss how far in advance to book airline tickets, but what about hotels? Are there any time frame guidelines for booking hotels in Europe, specifically a hotel in Paris in November? Yes. Hotels in Paris in November, it's a buyer's market for you. There's no reason you should book in advance because they're not going to fill up anyway. So when hotels look at their projections, either year over year or month over month, or sometimes week over week, as you get closer to certain dates where you know it's the off season, those prices come down because these hotels know, as any hotel knows, that an unsold hotel room is revenue you will never recoup once the sun rises. So if you're looking to book something in November, you know what? October 1, start looking. But wait a minute, where are you going to look? Are you looking online? Or are you actually making a phone call? By the way, you're going to do both. You're going to look online to research, right? Find a hotel that you think is a good bargain for you and good value for you, in a good neighborhood for you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then pick up the phone, call the hotel directly, ask to speak to the director of sales or the manager on duty, and let them know you want to come and stay at their hotel. And, can you get a great rate? And then the rate is just the beginning of the conversation. It's not the end of the conversation. See if they'll throw in free Wi-Fi, or they won't hit you with a $9 bottle of water, or not that this would happen in Paris, but in many other hotels around the world, parking, right? And of course, the dreaded resort fee. That can't be dealt with online. You need a conversation for that, and those extra charges mount up. Better to hear no right away, but if you don't ask, you don't get. Okay? Here we go. Okay, Renee says, go Niners. Here we go again. Okay. Harriet and Jim in Richmond, Virginia. Hello. Here's a question. Why does Delta and Air France are the only two airlines that come up when searching flights to Charles de Gaulle? Where are you searching? Where are you searching? I can get any airline to fly to Charles de Gaulle, just about, right? I can fly to Charles de Gaulle on Air Canada if I don't mind going through Montreal or Toronto. And by the way, sometimes it's a better flight. I can go to, American flies to Charles de Gaulle from Dallas. It flies from New York, right? United flies from Newark, flies from Washington Dulles, flies from Chicago. Again, use the internet to research. Don't use it as a Bible, or you will ask questions like this that actually have simple answers. Okay. Hey, Bruce is saying hi from St. Augustine. Gee, what are you doing in St. Augustine, Bruce? Would the name Rhonda ring a bell? Okay, let's not talk about that. Let's keep going. Raymond says, what about Vietnam and Thailand? All right, what about it? What's your question, right, Raymond? Let me know and I'll tell you. Okay. Priya's saying hello from Chicago. Okay. Okay, Lena's saying I'm planning on traveling 3 weeks before the Olympics. Oh, well, there we go. Take the train. The prices are going up in anticipation of the Olympics, not just during the Olympics. That's how crazy it is. Hello from Alabama, says Katrina. Frank's saying, what should Boeing's long-term plan be for the MAX 9s? Is Alaska still using the aircraft? Of course they are. Of the 171 planes that were grounded by the FAA, half of them at least were Alaska Airlines planes. They are now coming back into service every day as they're being thoroughly inspected. The long-term plan is Boeing wants to continue to make the plane. Let me just say something in fairness to Boeing. The 737 is the most widely used aircraft in the world, right? They've had so many different incarnations. It's a good plane. I fly it. It's a safe plane. The issue here is not the integrity of the plane. It's the integrity of the inspection and the oversight and the installation work without proper oversight. It's as simple and as dangerous as that. Okay. Eunice says, Peter, which airline do you travel on the most? Well, believe it or not, I can't answer that. I travel on every airline. I have to. 2 reasons. So I can report on it to you, and so I can understand what they're doing right and what they're doing wrong. Now, domestically in the U.S., it's about evenly split between American, Delta, and United. Southwest a little less. I'm starting to fly JetBlue a little more. But remember, it's not about the airline itself. It's about the route, right? And if they fly the frequency that I want on that route, and they fly the equipment that I want on that route, and they fly the schedule that I want on that route, now, of course, you have to talk about airfares. I'm probably going to go with that airline. right? So it's not a question of what's my favorite airline. You tell me what route you want, and I'll tell you my favorite airline on that route. Okay? Harriet and Jim want to know, do I see any changes to the frequent flyer programs in the future? Oh, they're changing by the hour and not to benefit you. The airlines now make more money from the frequent flyer programs than they make as airlines. They're addicted to them for other reasons. It's called making more money. As we are addicted to them, thinking if we fly enough flights and fly enough miles, we'll actually be rewarded. Those days are coming to an end. They've changed these programs from a loyalty program to a spend program. It's unfair, and it's basically arrogant on their part. So the answer to your question is, you bet there'll be changes, and my guess is look for it in the form of class action lawsuits and maybe even legislation, right? The airlines are deregulated. They have been since 1978, but there's a small movement afoot now to readdress that idea and maybe start re-regulating the airline in certain areas where there's nobody watching the store. And one of those areas are their frequent flyer programs. Hello from Lake Worth. Okay. Headed to Sicily. Any recommendations for restaurants? Go to our website. If we've got them, they're in there. Okay? PeterGreenberg.com. Patrick says, I tip with $3 bills, which is why no one likes you, Patrick. But thank you for anyway. Priya says, I'm planning to visit Chile, Brazil, and Argentina. Is it better to go in November, December, or January, February? Well, you pick all those months are great because it's Southern Hemisphere. It's their summer. So for me, I'd either pick November or February because it's spring going into summer or summer going into fall. Be a little less crowded, but the weather will still be beautiful. All right? Mary says, I've handed U.S. currency, but stopped because there's a fee to get local currency when they take money to the bank. You know what? The whole idea is that you cared enough to tip them, and if you want to exchange it to local currency, a lot of them don't like it because the dollar's more powerful, right? So there you go. I'm still staying with U.S. currency. Gina's saying, I love the $2 bill tip. My friend just ordered new $100 bills from his bank before going to Argentina. Bring a giant wallet for the exchange tender. I actually have a separate wallet for my $2 bills. You're actually right. Megan saying, hello from Tanzania. You're right next door. We're in Uganda. Adrian says, hi, Peter. Sunny here in Huntington Beach, Surf City. Frank saying hi from Tanzania. Okay. All right. Everybody said to me, what's my favorite airline? I'd say by route. Lorena begged to differ. She said, it's based on whether or not I get Biscoff cookies or not. She might have a point. Okay, do I ever check out budget airlines? Rita wants to know. My round trip San Francisco to Dallas is $600 versus $200 on Frontier, a little less than Spirit, with only carry-on for 5 days. I'm still worried. Are you still worried? Why would you be worried? Spirit flies relatively new aircraft. Frontier does a great job with their Airbus fleet. I'd fly them in a second as long as you understand what you're paying for and what you might pay for, right? Remember, Spirit charges you for a carry-on bag, so does Frontier. So the $200 is their opening offer. Now, I'm not saying you have to spend $400 more to be able to match what you have to pay on American, United, or Delta. But as long as you get one carry-on bag and you have flexibility in your schedule, listen, I had to go from Nashville to Orlando, and I had a choice. American through Charlotte, United through Houston, or Delta through Atlanta. So nobody's flying it nonstop. The airfare was like $435 one way. Now, back to Lorena's thought, if I'd flown Delta at $435, it would have taken me 7 hours to get there with that stop in Atlanta. I would have gotten mileage I couldn't redeem and that Biscoff cookie. But guess who flies it nonstop? Spirit. You know what their airfare was? $67. You know what the nonstop duration of the flight was? 1 hour and 18 minutes. Did the seat recline? No. But the flight's 1 hour and 18 minutes. Was I on board for the food or that Biscoff cookie? Forget it. No. I was on to go from A to B and not crash. I landed safely, fine flight, and with the over $370 I saved for not flying Delta, I could have gone out and bought 122 cases of Biscoff cookies. There's your value proposition. Okay. All right. Michael's saying hi from Ohio. And Sharon's in Connecticut. Frank is back in Tanzania. Nice to hear from all of you. Couple of things. Let's go to the photo of the week. I love this one because it's not far from where I am right now. Richard Yellen did this one. The sunset is as spectacular, he says, as the animal life in the Serengeti. And that's exactly how it looks. It reminds me of one of our closing shots in the 1 hour special we did, the Royal Tour of Tanzania with President Samia Suluhu Hassan. And if you get a chance, that's available on Amazon or Apple TV, and you'll probably see that shot there. So Richard, thanks for copying me. But congratulations on Photo of the Week. And if you think you got a photo that qualifies, you know what to do. Just send it to photocontest@petergreenberg.com. And if we agree with you, it goes right up there with Richard's picture. A couple of housekeeping notes here from Kampala and Uganda, because we're going to be here shooting for the next couple of days. But this weekend, our radio show comes from the Hotel Dominic in New York. You may remember it as the Trump Soho. Well, they got smart. It's now the Dominic. It's better than ever. They've got a 1-star Michelin restaurant in there. I mean, name a hotel restaurant that can do that. Got great views and unbelievable artwork in every single room. We'll be broadcasting from the Dominic this Saturday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Check your local stations. If you can't find one, that's easy because we stream it live. Just go to petergreenberg.com, hit the radio icon about 10:05 in the morning Eastern Time, and we're right up there with you, broadcasting from Soho in Manhattan in New York City. A couple of other things coming up, not this weekend, but next weekend, because who wants to compete with the Super Bowl? But February 17th and 18th, I'll be speaking again at the Travel and Adventure Show in Phoenix, Arizona, at the Phoenix Convention Center. So if you're in the neighborhood, please come out and see me. I'm glad to say hi, meet and greet, and also answer your questions in person. Again, February 17th and 18th in Phoenix. The next weekend, the 24th and the 25th, I'll be speaking at the Washington Convention Center in D.C. Following that, San Francisco, Atlanta, and Dallas. We'll have more on those dates later on. But if you want to find out where we're speaking, you can go to our website. We list all the dates and locations. So I hope you'll join me there. I survived the Nile today, Class 4. I survived the traffic here in Kampala. And I hope you survived our global travel update. Good luck, Taylor Swift. Oh, I said I wasn't going to mention that again. I hope you make it to the game. Thank you, Anthony, for doing the production here in Uganda. We'll see you next week, everybody, from another location that might also surprise you. And we'll see you then. In the meantime, go red and white. And I'll see you next week. Bye-bye, everybody.